After the success of Kurosawa mode in Ghost of Tsushima, its sequel has not one, not two, but three modes based on famous Japanese directors that you can mix and match to your liking. So, we're going to walk through what the experience of each mode is like and give a recommendation for our favorite way to play. We're also going to touch on some additional customization you can tweak in these settings so you can create your ideal Ghost of Yotei experience. Returning from the first game is Kurosawa mode, which sets the game to Japanese audio, turns the visuals black and white, and adds a film grain and blemishes to create the look of an old samurai film. There's even a filter applied to the audio to really sell that old-timey feel. I played the original Ghost of Tsushima in Kurosawa mode and found it to be a very unique experience that I had a great time with. That said, I did slightly regret my choice because I ended up missing out on the game's vibrant colors, a compromise you will once again have to consider for Yotei. As striking as the black and white can be, you might run into visibility issues with Kurosawa mode. Certain enemy attacks will have colored cues to denote if the attack is a parry or block. There is a visual difference, so it's still possible to tell one from the other, but I personally found it a lot harder without the color to assist. Speaking of color, certain quests require you to find a yellow field of flowers, for example, which can be pretty dang impossible when everything is shades of gray. I also ran into this issue back in Tsushima, and it's still a problem here. Since Kurosawa mode is in Japanese, you'll be relying on subtitles, which also can be hard to read when walking through snow, for example. But this can be solved by entering the accessibility menu and changing their color or adding a backdrop. Fun fact, even though Kurosawa mode does default to the Japanese dub, you can still switch it back to English or any other language in the audio settings.
I can make your bow sing if you have the coin. I have new items if you care to look.
Takeshi Miike, a man who's done it all. Like seriously, go look at the man's IMDb page, it's insane. Mostly known for an extreme level of violence in his films, Miike mode pays tribute to him by busting out the gore by the bucket load. Geysers of blood spurt from decapitated Ronin, and mud splatter covers everyone to a comical degree. And yes, this doesn't just apply to gameplay, but the game's real-time cutscenes as well. There is a level of ridiculousness that Miike mode brings that you could argue is a bit much during more serious moments, but I love it. It gives the game a vibe that I now wish it had all the time. Like seriously, this is so ridiculous. I think this mode rules, and I'm pretty much always going to recommend you use it unless you don't like blood at all, in which case you can go to the settings and just turn off blood completely. But still keep Miike mode on for that extra muddy playthrough. Shinichiro Watanabe, best known for Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, and those works are known for their killer soundtracks. And so, Watanabe mode adds a collection of lo-fi beats to the game, and you know what? I'm just gonna let this one speak for itself. Watanabe mode doesn't replace all the music. Cutscenes and major story beats still have specific music that are present. But music while riding and exploring are changed, as well as music during general stealth and combat encounters. I do really enjoy the chill vibes that Watanabe mode brings, but I am a little disappointed in the limited amount of music available. After a while, hearing the same lo-fi track does get a little repetitive. The default experience of Yotei actually lacks music much of the time while exploring, letting the sounds of nature and the blowing of the wind speak for itself. Still, Watanabe mode is a good time to throw on, and you should try it out for yourself. But why try just one of these modes when you can combine them? Well, the first one I tried was Kurosawa plus Watanabe mode. A bit of a strange mashup. The older samurai film look and sound that Kurosawa mode is trying to create really clashes with the modern lo-fi beats of Watanabe mode. Lo-fi beats filtered to sound like they come from the 1950s is odd. Not terrible, but doesn't really work for myself. Unlike Kurosawa plus Miike mode, those go great together. Some of those old black and white samurai films are violent as all heck, and seeing that excessive blood, regardless of the color, is still so much fun. Now you might think the increased gore of Miike mode would clash with the chill lo-fi energy of Watanabe mode, but the contrast actually works extremely well. It makes sense when you think about it. Many of Watanabe's works do this exact thing, balancing a laid-back world and characters with splashes of hyper-violence. Now, whether you decide to combine all three modes together is gonna depend on if you find the disconnect between Kurosawa and Watanabe mode to be an issue for you the way it was for myself. As mentioned before, Yotei has a large variety of additional settings you can tweak to your liking, something I very much appreciate. I've already mentioned a few of these, but let's touch on a couple more. Perhaps the setting you should most be aware of is target lock. That's right, the game does not default with a target lock available, and if that annoys you, well, thankfully you can turn it on. It comes in two flavors. I recommend swap on defeat, which will then auto-target the next closest enemy after you kill one. Otherwise, you need to manually relock each time, and that's kind of annoying. The second setting to consider is changing the combat cameras. Yotei's default camera will dynamically move around to help keep enemies in frame for you. If you don't like this and prefer the camera from Tsushima, you can switch to classic camera. For those of you looking for a more immersive experience, you can switch the HUD style to Expert. This doesn't completely remove the HUD, but it does disable some elements. It is not recommended for first-time players, however. If you want a little more of a challenge, you can turn off wolf appearances, which prevents your wolf companion from saving you from death. I imagine most of you will want this to stay on though. And finally, Quick Camp, which is on by default, will skip the camp minigames over time. But if you really like them and want to keep doing them, you can disable Quick Camp. And that is a look at the various modes and settings available in Ghost of Yotei. I always appreciate a game that lets you tweak and find your ideal experience, or try something different. Let me know which mode, if any, you plan to play. Thanks for watching.